It's a risk. I was told there's only one organic farmer left at the Kula Egg Park.
Okay, you guys, can we, we're gonna get started. It's about 5:12 now. Sorry, just because we've got a lot to do tonight. And I know this topic is, it's a broad one. So I'm sorry for cutting you off. So basically tonight we're going over the mayor's budget and as a group going to make recommendations for changes that we can present to the council on April 5th. We'll also go over talking points for testimony so we can pull that all together. I want to say that I did meet with Tasha Kama, who was originally against this department. And her feedback, other people's feedback is that this department is severely underfunded. They think it needs more positions and they think it needs more funding. So basically what I talked to her about is kind of the strategic plan, what we originally proposed. She's like, okay, maybe go through and put figures to those. So what I think we should do tonight, we'll go through the whole budget that the mayor proposed for the department. We will look at the positions in the strategic plan and add in funding so that they can follow the strategic plan. And then we can present that to the council on the 5th. So it will be easy for them to look at the budget with the amended figures and go forward from there.
Do you want me to explain the process of how the budget gets amended? So
I mean,
a council member has to have a priority already submitted as of tomorrow at 4:30. So the public can't put forth proposals. It's the council members that put forth the proposals. So we need, Shane's willing to put in some positions. Gabe has expressed interest in putting in some positions. So we'll, yeah, so that's how it'll work. So tonight we need to be firm on what we're doing because it's all due by 4:30 tomorrow.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so can you guys see that?
Yep.
So we'll just go over, I basically just copied and pasted the tab from the budget and then into Adobe and change it into an Excel spreadsheet. So what he proposed was salaries and wages of $306,000, which includes the director, the deputy director, a private secretary, one grant coordinator, and one grants specialist for 10 months. It also has an unfunded position of one ag inspector, one ombudsman person, and one agricultural advocate. So basically, once they got these positions established, they would go back and add funding in for them through a budget amendment. So we'll start there. They have a night differential of $5,000, that office supplies of $10,000, postage. We have small equipment for $10,000, miscellaneous dues and things like that. I think the things that we should be focused on are, we've got the county grant subsidy, which is $500,000, the positions, and then also down here, if you look at the travel and airfare, so they're not recommending to have any positions on Molokai or Lanai, but they're also still only advocating for a $7,000 travel budget and a $500 mileage reimbursement. And what we know with gas, that's not going to allow for much back and forth between the islands and Maui. So that's kind of interesting. And then down here, there's, you know, some more for leases, equipment, and machinery, which is basically the office equipment, and a truck, one truck for the entire department. So yeah, it's very bare bones. I think what was interesting to me is that there is a $1.3 million budget for the entire department, but in 2020, they gave $1.5 million just for access to your mitigation funding alone. So I think there's going to be a lot of talking points where we compare, you know, what they're allocating for other things to the department and say, this is not really matching up. If we're taking ag and food security seriously, we need to fund it better. So from our strategic plan, we had 15 positions outlined. So we had 2 departmental grant writers. Those were the ones that we're going to focus on writing for larger scale, like CIP projects and things like that. and then 2 community needs grant writers. I think adding those back in would be a good idea. And then we have 4 food access coordinators. That was to have representation for Molokai, Lanai, Maui more central, and then East Maui. On top of that, we had a cultural resource liaison. I did talk to Josiah. He said the reason they didn't put one in the department is because they're hiring a cultural resource liaison for the entire county. And that is Kumu Pueo Pata. So the next thing that we had was the waste resource regeneration specialist. They said that they didn't put this in because there is no title for something like that. I was able to look up in Oahu, and they do have environmental health specialists, which are already positions that exist, which would be similar. And then the ombudsman person they put in unfunded, and then we had originally 4 inspectors / community liaisons so that they could help develop the permitting process and things like that. They put in 1. So I think they're keeping the permitting process under the other departments for now, which I think might be okay. We could give them a year to develop that permitting process with 1 inspector, and then in the next year, maybe hire additional. So I kind of wanted to get you guys' feedback on what positions do we think are the most important to add in that are not currently in there.
I like the ombudsman position to be added back in, and the grant writers. I think those are both really important positions, as well as representatives from all the various areas that, you know, need to be focusing in their agricultural, you know, sector.
So the ombudsman person is in there. They have that position. It's just unfunded because they have to create the civil service position.
Okay.
So once they create it, they will go back and fund it, hopefully, through a budget amendment. So we don't need to advocate for the ombudsman person because it's already in there. They have a grant coordinator and a grant management program specialist. So that's only 2. So do we want to add 2 more grant writers in?
Let me just let you know that Shane's already put on his priorities 2 grant writers. And then I think if we can, we're only allowed 5 priorities. So we're using 2 grant writers, and if possible, we're going to ask for professional services money to hire a DC consulting firm to help those grant writers target federal funding. If they won't, if county, the budget chair doesn't allow us to combine them, we'll probably just go for the 2 grant writers, but that's for sure is already on our list.
Okay.
You want to mention it here from the group also as well?
Oh yeah, we're going to need you guys to testify when it comes up. Yeah.
Okay.
So the process works is when the departments come up for questions on the day. I think Jen has the schedule you talked about. It is
April 5th.
is the day they'll talk about it. That's the day we'll need you guys to give testimony, and then they'll already have the priorities. So Kayani will just read what those are, and then the members will discuss and vote on those priorities.
And then I was told the revised priorities are by the 15th.
Oh, we didn't get a memo.
That's what Kate told me. So like you have your priorities and then you can revise your priorities by the 15th.
Oh, I didn't see that in the memo. Maybe that's something that just came out today.
She told me a few days ago. Let me read exactly what it says.
Oh, that would be great to know. There's alternatives. Maybe that's the.
Well, I think that's where we might be able to, if we suggest more positions or funding for specific projects and studies, that's where we might be able to get some people to change their mind.
Well, you know, we've got till 4:30 tomorrow, so whatever you guys.
Says we need to have priorities ready by this Thursday, which is April 4th. And the final, or no, this Thursday, which would be this Thursday. And then final priorities by Thursday, April 15th. Testimony for the ag department would be on April 5th.
Okay.
So, so from what I was told we have like some give to get things changed around between the 5th and the 15th, hopefully. But the main testimony, we should have everything ready to go by the 5th from our group to be prepared for testimony.
Yeah, whatever we can decide tonight would be the most.
Yeah, no, we'll decide it tonight because the 5th is like not very long away. We need to get the word out to other people for testimony.
Exactly right.
Okay, so we've got the 2 grant writers. We're good on that. We've got the ombudsman person. We've got 1 inspector. Are we okay with 1 inspector until they start taking over the permitting process?
One should do it. I think that's sufficient.
I think so too. Does anybody disagree?
What exactly is the inspector inspecting?
So I think right now they're just probably trying to help develop the permitting process for the department.
Okay.
So that's why they've hired the 1 inspector. So he might help or start the training process or learn about it so that they can start doing their own inspections with the ag department.
Okay.
Is there a job description written or gonna be
They're
written?
gonna be inspecting for the whatever farm plans. Eventually, they will be the ones doing the inspections for farm plans. Oh, William, you're super familiar with this. They're gonna be replacing real property tax inspectors, and then they'll be replacing the Department of Planning inspectors that go out and do the farm plans.
Yeah, that's good because I just had this vision of the planning and RPT inspectors just fighting with this one. You know, this inspector would be advocating for the farm and the other guy's gonna be, no, they're not on farm, blah, 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 you know.
I mean, that's the plan. How it gets implemented, we'll have to keep a close eye on it, but.
Yeah, because to have departments fighting departments, it's just gonna be news, you know.
Yeah, Gina, I'd like to add to William's piece. Yes, when we were putting this together, we did say we want the inspectors to be advocates for the farmers.
Yeah.
Come out with their clipboard and make sure that everybody is in compliance and tell them what they need to fix or improve so that they can qualify for their ag status. No, they're not a police officer. They don't have a badge. They're our advocate. They're there to make sure we do comply. And they need to be on our team.
Yeah, I think Josiah heard that loud and clear, but like I said, we're gonna get well, I didn't say this. They're gonna get a new director and deputy director, and those 2 people, or at least that director, is gonna have massive influence as to what actually happens in the department. It will be Josiah Nishida, who's the deputy managing director, who's going to be submitting some type of job description to the Department of Personnel Services. I do know that sometimes those job descriptions will get tweaked a little bit, so it may not be exactly. So whatever this group can do to keep in touch with Josiah as those may be asked to review the position descriptions would be super useful.
Okay, so we're,
Person coming from RPT.
I don't think so. Because RPT, they've asked for more positions. So
Okay.
I think the
Good.
goal is to get someone,
We'd like to train our own. Good.
well, you get someone with a farming background, not a finance background. I'm
Great.
only guessing that was,
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
yeah, I think you guys had a big impact on him when you explained what you were thinking.
We tried.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so we're good with 1 inspector for the first year. Okay, so then all we have left, the cultural resource liaison, are we okay with them having the one for the county at the moment?
At the moment,
Yes, at the moment.
And then we've got the waste resource regeneration specialist. So this position wouldn't be able to go in funded because there is not something with that specific title already, which I understand. So it would take them a while to get that position either created or to use something like the environmental health specialist and negotiate that with the county. Sorry, not the county, the oh gosh, what unions, sorry. So do we want to add that in is an unfunded position? Ask.
I think it's good to keep the request in
Okay.
for future.
Okay. And then there is the food access coordinators. So these are the people that are supposed to be going out, finding the gaps in the food system, the emergency food sector, within the different agencies and things like that. Lauren raised her hand. She's got more of a description of what food access coordinators do. Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Jen. So the food access coordinators really could help us implement strategic plan. And when we discussed our strategic priorities, it really seemed like the food access coordinator roles on each island, and 2 for Maui, 1 focused specifically on East Maui, so 4 in total for the county, really seemed like the positions that would help the director and deputy director actually implement all of our goals and get much of this work done while representing community voice. Right now, I serve as the Maui County Food Access Coordinator, and my role very much helps coordinate the Maui Nui Food Alliance and providing strategic network connections. But each food access coordinator role could take on, the job could take on the needs of the specific island or geographical area in which it focused and do more direct service work as well. So these positions are pretty dynamic. There are now food access coordinators in Kauai, City and County of Honolulu, Waianae, and Hawaii Island, in addition to my position that covers all of Maui County. And I would say that this work is needed now more than ever. I know that we don't have our sustainable Molokai representatives on this call, but they were strongly in favor of having a food access coordinator for Molokai. And I know that our Lanai contacts feel the same, just to make sure that each island and geographical area can be represented. So I would say, yes, please, can we push to have food access coordinator positions? They really are vital in ensuring that the department can carry out its work.
Does anybody have any questions
Please
on?
let me know. Yeah.
So originally we asked for 4, 1 for Molokai, 1 for Lanai, 1 for East Maui, and then 1 to service North, Central, South, and West Maui districts. So what do you guys think about that?
I think it's bare bones, but it's, you know, a place to start. I think as the department gets rolling, there may need to be more added, but I think in the beginning, it's the bare bones that needs to be represented.
At least with 1, we can get things started.
So do we think 4 is too many to ask for?
Is it audacious to ask for 4? Because I would like us to ask for 4.
I just got to remind you guys that we got to go out and find council members that are willing to ask for these positions. We only have so many that we can ask for. If we can, you want to put your full list together and then do another look cut at it when it's all done, maybe?
No, I think we need to start here, because then the rest of it is going to be based on how many positions we're adding in, basically.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Do you want to just everything makes the first cut and then do a second cut once we see?
Well, we already narrowed it down. We've got 2 funded grant writers, 1 unfunded waste resource regeneration specialist, and now we're just discussing the food access coordinators. So this is the last one to go through.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 is too many.
You think 4 is too many?
Yeah, for sure.
They're not gonna budge on 4. I mean, we're lucky if they give 1, I think.
So
I
why
mean,
don't we
can
ask
for
for
more, but
why don't we ask for 2, 1 to service the North Shore, Central, West, and South Maui area, and then 1 for the rural areas. So Hana, Molokai, and Lanai.
That sounds good. 2.
Lauren is trying to confirm, do our council members have the ability to advocate for 6 additional positions each? Gina? When you have a budget priority, like when you said we're asking for 2 grant writers for the Department of Ag, does that
Yeah.
count as 1 priority?
What we asked today, we can have two of the same position. I'm hoping we can just come in at one priority for the entire Department of Ag. That's what I'm hoping. So we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. So we'll put together our list and then we'll ask.
Okay, because Tasha was like, you should ask for the 4 food access coordinators and the grant writers for sure. So I don't know if she's under a different impression.
Maybe our big question, maybe we can put in for as many employee positions. Our question was more professional services. Can we lump that with it too? But I think we're going to try. We'll just put everything under Department of Ag.
Okay.
And that one request. and
Yeah,
we'll-
and I think for professional services, we can up that quite a bit because they are going to need money to do the streamlining permitting process. And then the full legal assessment too is going to be super important. They'll need to advocate money. They'll need to allocate money for that as well, because that's going to be done by a third party. Corp Council is not going to take that on.
No, agreed.
Okay, so for the positions, are we okay with the 2 funded grant writers? Asking for 2 food access coordinators and 1 unfunded waste resource regeneration specialist?
As a start, yeah.
Okay.
Can, you think Tasha can wrangle the votes, the support?
Well,
If she's that confident or
to be
whatever?
honest, I'm surprised that she was this supportive because she voted against the department in the beginning. So to hear her, she was very, very supportive of the strategic plan, like very supportive of the strategic plan and the additional ask for positions and money. So she said, what do you think is realistic? I'm like, realistically, to ask for more positions and for money to do the studies and the equipment for the additional positions, a budget between 3,000 to 5,000 to start with. And she was like, that's very reasonable. So going from not even supporting the department at all, voting against it completely, to saying that is a more reasonable budget than what the mayor proposed, I think it's a very good sign, because she was the one I was worried that wasn't going to support it at all.
Oh.
There's some people that have had some misgivings about Tasha, so I certainly hope that she's being sincere in her comments.
She did seem very sincere. I've talked to her a few times, and I've noticed when she's not sincere, but she did seem very sincere this time.
Okay, good.
And she was, she said that, I did change my position. I've learned a lot over the last year, and I realize now how broke down the ag system is. So the education piece that we've been doing with these surveys and community outreach and talking to people is helping tremendously.
She wrote a letter to the APT committee saying she does support the department now. However, she wants it to focus on commercial agriculture.
What?
Her letter is in Granicus under APT. Yeah, if I can.
That's funny, because she told me that we need to support our backyard farmers.
Oh, you're kidding me, really?
No, 100%. She said everybody needs to grow food. It is everybody's responsibility, and we cannot leave them out. So
Wow. Okay. Well, this is the kind of thing that concerns me. Because, she's saying 2 different things to different people.
well, that's politics, unfortunately.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
I hate to say it, Barbara, but that is what politics is. A lot of it.
I know, but okay, I did a lot of campaigning, for Tasha way back when she first ran, and I was thoroughly disappointed that I believed all of the things that she was saying, because I thought she was definitely a different person than I felt she turned out to be. So I guess I've just been kind of burnt a little bit by that. So I'm only bringing it up because I like her. She's a fine woman, but I don't always trust her.
Fair enough.
I think in the beginning, a lot of the heavy hitters in ag was totally against the department.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the politicians ran that way for political reasons, and being that more votes ended up for it, which is why we're here.
Right.
They're wise to jump on that bandwagon and get more votes to get in, I don't know.
Do you think that we would be able to ask her to write a letter to the APT committee, maybe in support of the backyard farmers and not just the commercial? The
I mean,
commercial.
you can email her, but I don't know that how much that's going to change what we have to do with budget right now.
Okay, got it.
Any support is good at this
Yeah.
point from any
Yeah.
one of them.
Can you
Yeah.
guys give me salaries for these positions?
So the grant writers, we can utilize what they put down for the, what they have for the county for current grant writers. They have some in OED, so we can utilize those numbers.
Yep.
The waste
Yeah.
resource regeneration specialist, that is unfunded, so they'll have to develop that.
No,
So-
we can put in zero. They're actually, we can put in zero in the request when it comes to the floor, if we could just have a number, because the members are going to ask.
So then if we can get the environmental health specialist from the city and county of Honolulu, that's a position. I think either this, hold on, is it the state that has the environmental health specialist?
No, probably.
Yeah, I think it's the state. So if we can research the environmental health specialist from the state, what their salary is,
Okay.
then we can use that figure for the waste regeneration specialist.
Mhm.
Or you can put it in as unfunded so that they can develop the position and come back for a budget amendment once they have it.
Oh, yeah, just discussion. They're going to just want to know. And Shane's going to ask me, what are we, is that a
Okay.
$40,000 position or is that,
I would go with whatever they pay at the state.
And I'm going to need to create a job description for the proposal too.
We have one.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it right up there.
Yeah, this position will begin the framework to create waste to revenue streams and find a way to conserve and preserve natural resources for our future generations. Waste management includes composting. Like, so we have kind of,
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I can just use that.
Okay.
Normally job positions or job responsibilities would get listed, duties and functions would get listed out, but this will work just fine.
okay.
And they're
And
gonna
then,
fine tune it later.
Yeah,
and
change it.
then
That's what happened.
the food access coordinator, so the two, one for the rural districts and one for Maui.
Say that again, you want 3 altogether?
It's two. So one to service North Shore, Central, South, and West Maui and Upcountry. And then one that will service Hana, Lanai, and Molokai.
Awesome.
So that's it for the positions.
Is there anything comparable that we could point to?
There are food access coordinators at the city and county of Honolulu
In Hawaii County.
So if
and
there-
Hawaii County. Okay.
Yeah, and they're embedded in the county.
Interesting, okay. It may not take them that long to develop the position then, because if there's already an existing state job description, they can pull that instead of having, the reason the other ones are unfunded, the ombudsman, the ag inspector, and the advocate, is there is no comparable position, so they have to create it, which means they have to negotiate with the union, and it takes about 8 to 10 months. But if they
But there used to be an ombudsman.
No, there did, and we told Josiah that, but I guess because there no longer is, he wasn't able to use that. And it must have been an appointed position. That's what I think it was, because it was, who was telling us, Kenneth? It was George Kaya. Yeah, but anyway, I don't know, fingers crossed it could be sooner if they adopt it. We'll find out.
Okay, so we've got our positions, you guys. It's like half the battle right there. Okay, and then we've got the actions. So as far as the like premium pay and stuff, Gina, you guys can figure that out, like night differentials
We're
and
not gonna change any of that, but
you're
it's-
not.
We're
Okay,
gonna
so-
change no services, so let's go,
So do you think if we hire these positions, especially for the one, the food access coordinator that's going to be doing the inter-island travel, the fact that they have a $7,000 budget and a $500 mileage reimbursement, do you think that's going to be an issue?
I think what'll happen is, like when we did the county archaeologist, when they got into discussions, they got into the other areas because
Okay.
it's not only, that. It's computers, it's office space, it's
Yeah.
countywide fringe, which is health insurance and all that other stuff.
So should we just do the recommendations in our spreadsheet?
Yeah, that would help us for,
Okay,
but I'm.
yeah, that's what we, yeah,
tomorrow. I'm gonna crunch everything for tomorrow. It's kind of tight. But whatever we can have ready for the 5th of April would be good.
yeah, so we'll have it ready for the 5th. I was gonna have this Excel spreadsheet for everybody to submit with their testimony and just say we support this and have different talking points of why we support it. And that's what I told
Excellent.
Tasha that we were gonna do, and she was like, that's perfect, so we can just have the spreadsheet in front of us as we change things.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Shane has to agree to this and Gabe has to agree to this. So by tomorrow at 4:30.
Okay,
So yeah, so I'll ask him tomorrow when we talk, what we can combine and put in for the positions for sure.
okay,
And I think we can try. It would be nice if we had Gabe's help, but I don't know if we're going to because I already asked and Kate said he's on alternatives now. So we'll see what our limits are.
okay. Let's see.
So
So-
what we're going to need to do in combination with this is we're going to need to change the key activity goals and measures to correlate with these items too.
Okay, and then also the professional services is something that we wanted to bump up.
And then let's go back and assign the other parts of the budget to those positions.
Okay, sorry, what?
So how the budget works is in the beginning, there's a narrative that I sent to Jen, who I think should have sent it out, or she sent you a link or something.
Yeah.
And it shows key activities. Oh, it's in my binder. It shows key activities that next year the department will get measured on it. It actually lists out the functions that the department will do. So let's just go to professional services. One of them is to provide federal funding assistance. So one of the key activities is they have to acquire $3 million of federal funds. So we would need to do something similar for the waste resource regenerator. It would be like goals for that person in that job to achieve.
Yeah, so actually for the grant writer, we would up that to 6 million.
Do you think that's enough? That just seems so little. There's so much money at the
Well,
federal.
if that's what they're saying, that they can get 3 million per one grant writer, then we would double that for them to at least get 6 million with the additional grant writer that we're asking for.
No grant writers in there right now. So one of my questions was who's going to be doing their assumption is that they're going to give workshops for grant workshops and federal funding assistance.
Okay, so then maybe we ask for 2 grant writers. Period.
are.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
Right. But I do need, well, let's do professional services and then we'll go back and attach what each one of these jobs and functions, what their goals are that they're going to achieve for that year.
Gina, do you know how much the grant writer at OED gets a year?
Oh, I can look it up though right now if you want.
I
Okay,
was
so they
just
have,
looking,
I'm not talking about pay right now. I'm talking about what their target goal for getting funding from the federal government and state would be.
it was
That's
right.
what
3,
I was asking.
it was 3
Oh,
million.
no, it's not in there. Yes, it's 3 million right now. I don't know what OED. Oh, and I don't, does OE, yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's a good question. Let me see if they have a target in there.
And then for the professional service that they have listed right now, they've got 350,000 to do the funding for agricultural assessments within Maui County, grant workshops, federal funding assistant, research and data collection, and the groundwork for game management plan, 350,000, which is not nearly enough.
There's nothing in any of this that I've seen for any kind of legal work.
No. So our priorities that we're gonna take up the most resources were the 4 at the end. It was the full legal assessment for the current agricultural cross sectors with the state and federal agencies to negotiate and address ag issues. So that would probably be done by a third party because Corp Counsel is not really the best person to do that, nor do they have the time. So honestly, that would probably be around 200, 300 to get that study done.
Right.
The other one we have was develop the streamlined county permitting process for agriculture. So if they have one inspector, I'm hoping that that would be what they started to focus on, but they would probably need additional funding to have a third party come in and help with that. Gina, do you agree or?
I don't know, the council's so tired of studies. I think they could use the existing system. Do you need to overhaul the way real property tax deals with ag land? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, right now they don't assess in a unified manner.
No, that's one thing, but do you need a study to show, or a consultant to prepare a study that would develop a brand new way of assessing ag properties that would give you all
So-
the categories? Is that what you're suggesting by legal
Yeah,
service?
basically the consultant would come in, work with the inspector to take what the inspection requirements from planning, from water and RPT, and create one permitting process that would be done by ag.
Yeah, that's a policy decision. I don't know that they have to make that policy decision first to go ahead and do that. So I don't know if we're ready for a professional study before you get a director agreeing that that's what they want to do. There's been such pushback on that right now.
That everybody's been in support of that, actually. That's the one thing everybody has been in support of, is the streamlined permitting process. There's been no pushback on that,
From the
not
department,
even. No,
you can write it up. I can propose it to Shane.
yeah, it's in the strategic plan.
You want a consultant to write a study to turn all the three into-
Not a study to develop the streamlined permitting process. So they would take the information from the current three processes and compile a new process with the training and inspectors and a way to disseminate all the information.
and you want a consultant to do it, not somebody in the department.
Well, they only have one inspector, and that probably won't come on until
Planner in
halfway
there.
through the year.
I can propose it to Shane. Just, let me add that to the list. So Teresa, no, there's no dollar amount for amount of funding that those grant writers get. I was just looking, their OED's goals are pretty thin for each of the. So professional services, how much you think that would cost for a consultant to do that service?
Probably around 50K.
Okay. Okay, I'll add that in my list, my notes to him.
And then for the full legal assessment, I think that's probably going to be a spendier one, because that would have to be done by legal professionals and they just charge more.
So Jen, with all of this,
Mhm.
what is kind of our total suggestion as far as budget goes in dollars
So
in the end? I know you're adding to whatever.
basically, we would be probably upping wages to, it looks like, I mean, like if I'm just estimating around 700,000. And then the professional services, probably close to $1 million for that.
Okay,
And then
So-
there would be additional, like the equipment, you would have to add on the equipment, the $1,500 for each proposed position. You would probably have to add on like some travel funding and things like that. So
Mhm.
it'd probably be around 3 million.
Where's
Okay.
where's the streamlining in your strategic plan?
It's year one. There were the 4 things that were the resource intensive things. So that's the full legal assessment, the emergency food storage centers and food banks. And that's a beginning process. So that would be the development would start in the beginning of year one, and then the streamlined county permitting process.
So year one, I have grant writers, cultural resource liaison. Just point me to the right place.
It's at the very bottom.
develop a streamlined county permitting process for agriculture?
Yep.
Oh, that's all, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're gonna need more than one vehicle. I don't know if it needs to be a four-wheel drive truck, but I think they're gonna need more than one vehicle.
Hey, I used to use my sedan when I was the ag department. What do
He
you
was
need
the
a
man,
four-wheel
yeah.
drive truck for?
So if
Yeah.
they don't add in, I don't think we need to ask for that though. That's something the department can come back and do budget amendments for, or they can ask to increase the mileage. You don't think they will, Kenneth?
The agriculture advocate is the one that's going to develop the streamlined county permitting process. You're thinking you want a consultant to come in before they get the advocate in place, or?
I mean,
What do you guys?
What I'm looking at now is, and maybe you guys can help me not mess up the math, but the mayor proposed a $1 billion budget. And if we requesting 3 million, I believe I came out with 0.003% of the budget.
it'd be 3%.
0.003. Somebody can maybe redo the math and make sure, but the percentage of the budget for food, is very, very low.
If we ask for 3 million, it would be 3% of the overall budget.
3%
Yeah, right now we're
of $1
getting
billion.
1. Yes.
Wow.
What is the state, what is out of the state budget, how much do they allocate for the Department of Agriculture?
So before this year, it was less than 0.5%, and I believe this year it went up to, I think, just a little over 1%.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, 3% is really not much at all of $1 billion budget. So
No, it's not, but it is year one, so the development of the department is going to take a lot of time, and
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I would love to see more, but they're saying 3 million from taxpayer, and then the grant specialist was to secure another 3 million. If we ask for another grant writer, that should be another 3 million. So that would put us up to almost 9 million for ag.
good.
Well, they do some other stuff too, with like Farm Bureau budget and whatnot. in
And I think
addition.
that there's a lot of opportunities for the department to work with foundations here in the community to help pay for things too, and collaborate and get some more money funneled in that way as well. And then if we have the community grant writers, they can also be, doing blanket grants so that we can get more funding directly to residents that wouldn't necessarily come through the county. So it would be a lot more influx of resources, even though it's not a very large percent of the overall budget. I agree.
You got to start somewhere.
Okay, so for the setting up emergency food storage centers and food banks in Lanai, Hana, and Molokai, that's something that we want to task the food access coordinators with. Do you think that is sufficient? Like, we don't need to ask for additional monies for that, or do we?
Where is the line item? I'm not seeing it on my screen.
There
here.
is no line item. They didn't put that in. That's from our strategic plan.
Oh, okay. So your question is, should we be asking for that?
Yeah, so if we're asking for the food access coordinators, that would be something that they would be tasked with helping develop. The framework to set up emergency food storage and food centers, and then food banks in Lanai, Hana, and Molokai.
We definitely will need additional funding for that, both for a needs assessment and for the implementation, like even building the infrastructure. Could we leave that as an unfunded slot in the budget that we could eventually get some funding for?
So they do have in here, part of the 350 that they asked for was for funding agricultural assessments within the county. So food supply, how much and what is needed. Do we want to add to that when we add in the money for like professional services for the full legal assessment and the streamlined permitting process?
I would say any amount of additional funding we could secure would support Molokai in developing their resiliency center that they're trying to create, which will have additional food storage capacity. But I default to your judgment on this.
So would that be professional services to like do the planning for that and start that framework, or is it already up and going and you're looking at more of like grant?
I think it would be professional services even to contract a designer or builder to help with the creation of that space. Would this be the appropriate spot in the budget for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Gina, I have a question. Did they put the 2.5 million in for microgrants for ag again?
Under the mayor's office.
They
I don't
did
know.
for OED.
I don't think it's 2.5 though. It might be 1.5. Let me see where that is. Yeah, they definitely have the micro grants. I feel like it's 1.5 though.
1.5.
Might be wrong, but I'm looking now to see if it's. Where, wasn't that in the mayor's office though, not in OED?
Well, OED is Office of the Mayor.
No, they're actually two different sections where the office of the mayor is, he's been taking more grants by himself, just through there, not through OED, using his own staff.
Last year it was, I believe it was Office of the Mayor and MEO was distributing.
Let me look in both while you guys move on.
Okay. So, what do you think a reasonable ask for the setting up emergency storage food centers and food banks would be for professional services? So we're talking about like planning phase.
Are you asking for salary amounts or?
No, for professional services, Lauren, sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to think as well. I was thinking in terms of salaries for contractors to bring on. I mean, I would say a lot. So I don't know. Does anyone have an estimate that's low? I would say at least 100,000. But I was thinking more of 250,000 because it would be different contractors for each geographical area that would need to, yeah.
I mean, I
Does
think
that-
yeah, I think that's reasonable. That would increase the ask for professional services total from 350 to 950,000, which is under $1 million for professional services when you're setting up a lot of things.
We have another ask under that category too, so it's gonna push it even higher.
Well, let us know what that is so we can testify on that.
Yeah, I will. Right now, it is in doing the food security existing study that's in there. We're going to ask them to include what kind of ag water do they need. We're looking at acquiring the EMI lease, and we're trying to figure out how many future gallons are going to be needed for local agriculture to provide food security.
And so you're increasing it by how much?
We haven't set a dollar amount. I guess I'll talk about it with Shane tomorrow, how much extra that's going to be. Maybe 100 grand.
Okay.
So give me a rundown again on, I've got 250 for professional services related to food access coordinator. What
Yep.
else?
50K for the county permitting process, and then 300 for the legal assessment.
Explain to me, the legal assessment is where in your strategic plan?
It's right above the emergency food storage and food centers. So those 4 things were the main things that we wanted to see them work on that were going to be resource intensive.
This is in year 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so food access coordinator, it's right above that.
The food access, I don't know, I'm not sure how yours printed out. There's 2 columns. So these are the actions in the 1 column, and then these are the people that would work on those actions. That's what we had done in the strategic plan.
Oh, I don't have that. All I have is your 5-page.
Okay, here, let me.
I have.
Because it was in the presentation. I
Oh,
did it.
that's what it is. It's in the presentation. I have the,
Yeah.
okay. I can pull that up. Let me, okay.
Because I separated it by year 1 with colors of the yellow is the least resource intensive, the blue were the medium resource intensive, and the green were the things that would actually need
I was in
separate
your
funding.
Okay, so your legal thing is in here. It's where?
It's a full legal assessment of current agricultural cross sectors with federal and state agencies to negotiate and address ag issues.
Got it.
So I think that is 300 is a safe number for that, because that is going to be a pretty intensive study and you're going to need like attorneys and paralegals and stuff to work on that. So a pretty, yeah, that's
you have
why a higher
what
end.
Somewhere?
Huh?
You have a paragraph description of what this is somewhere?
No.
Can you explain it to me?
Yeah, so basically right now, because we don't have an ag department, a lot of these areas are gray where the county steps in and where our legal boundary lines are, especially when it comes to invasive species, inspections, feral animal management, all of these things, right? So if we're setting up a department without knowing where our legal boundaries are, we honestly don't know what we can do. And we don't know what we can hold the state and federal governments accountable for. So as we're addressing and negotiating things like increased inspections at the ports and airports and things like that for invasive species or animal management, we don't have any leg to stand on because we don't legally know where we stand. So I talked about this with Josiah, and he's like, yeah, we don't really know right now. So that would be something that we have to figure out, but they didn't put it in their departmental ask to figure that out. And that's super important because otherwise we're opening ourselves up to lawsuits or threats from the state and federal governments.
Can I interject something?
Mhm.
This professional services, you describe groundwork for game management plan. Isn't game management under the Forestry Wildlife Division of the state, DLNR?
It is.
We don't have authority.
Yeah, but that's what the mayor proposed.
Well, I'm just telling you, we don't have the authority.
Well, that's why we're suggesting we need this legal assessment, because we can't start this work and do these things without this assessment.
Well, I'm just pointing out that
Mhm.
we don't have the authority to manage game.
Well,
We don't
hopefully they
bring it
would, hopefully they would collaborate with the state on that. I'm hoping that's what they're thinking.
I'm thinking they're going to give grant funding to private organizations that are going to go and manage the game by shooting the deer.
Be my guess.
Not doing it themselves, but that's my guess. Okay, I'll throw this in the when I talk to Shane about it tomorrow. And you think that's going to cost 300 grand?
I mean, yeah, if it's attorneys and stuff doing it, it's gonna be,
I'm just trying to get a number. That's all.
yeah.
50, then 300 and
And then
250.
250. Yeah, and then you guys are asking for the 100 or 150. So that would either put us at 1.1 million for professional services or 1.5. Or 1.15, right?
Okay. Okay, I'll run it by him tomorrow.
Okay, and then you'll let us know how much you're asking for the water portion for the agricultural assessments?
I'll let you know what he says sometime tomorrow. I'm not supposed to talk to the afternoon, which is pretty close. I'm gonna email him later tonight, so he'll have some time to think about it on his drive in tomorrow.
Okay, because we would like to support that because water is a big thing that
Oh,
we
yeah.
have concerns with.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know what's going on. Are you planning to talk to Kate anytime soon about?
Yeah,
before-
I'm gonna send her all this stuff as well. I'm gonna send it to all the council members.
I know in terms of securing Gabe's being able to go after some of this, like if we can't separate, if we have to separate professional services out from, I wonder if Gabe can propose it.
Okay,
I don't know. I'll talk to Sarah tomorrow and find out if we can include professional services with the position.
and then even if you guys don't have them in your priorities, if the community is coming out and speaking for needs and increases, once you guys go into the deliberations, council members take that into consideration as they make amendments, right?
No,
That's what,
they can only propose what's on their sheet, what's on their, for their budget priorities. They can't substitute. Last time, I think at the end, we were allowed to make some substitutions, but you have to have asked the department and run it by the department when they were there during their day. No,
yeah,
she
but
wants,
this is a new department, so,
I don't know, I don't set the rules. Everything needs to be done up front. It's not like prior years where they would just throw stuff out. Everything gets put in writing ahead of time. They decide whether or not that qualifies. It goes on a piece of paper that then gets distributed. And then when the department's there, they go through those different priorities and ask the department how feasible are they? And then they vote on it right there. If they don't come to agreement, they wait, they push it forward in consensus, then they push it forward to the very end of the budget deliberation section.
yeah, well, when they're going through consensus, they were changing things all throughout the budget. It wasn't just the priorities.
You can't have a new priority. You can't, it has to be on the priority list. You can't substitute. I think she allowed substitutions last year at the very end. Maybe you could pull up your alternatives, but it all has to be decided on ahead of time. I know it doesn't leave the community with the whole, it forces the community to get with their council members ahead of time. It's all done to make the process and not be this 24-hour or 12-hour days, so that it's more better organized, I guess.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so then, okay, so we have our increases for budget. I can go through and put them in this spreadsheet, and then you wanted us to help you work on language for the budget narrative, yeah?
Yeah, so what we can do, which isn't due tomorrow, it's due next, is in the budget, do you guys have a copy of what it looks like? Do you want, is there a way to send that, to put that in chat, Jen, what I sent you?
Yeah, I can, well, I can pull it up on my screen. I just have to stop sharing.
And pull that up.
And then, yeah, but I have, sorry, I'm gonna stop sharing. And then I'll go in and look it up. Okay, here we go. It's like page 135 is where it starts, yeah. Something like that. Oh, never mind, I got it.
91. I think William has it. Kenneth, I emailed it to Teresa. It should be in your email.
You guys looking for?
The narrative for the Department of Ag, what's in the budget. I didn't send you the budget details, but I sent you the proposed budget that's online.
Yeah.
So it has the summary here. She'll pull it up right here. Perfect. Mission. Now that came just right out of the charter.
Yeah, and then they have the mission down here, which was the one that both groups agreed on.
Yep. So then we have the countywide outcomes. Do you guys want to add anything to that? If you have food access coordinator, did you want to put something on there about affordable, healthy, thriving? I mean,
We could say increased food security.
That sounds good. We could say increase food and nutrition security and climate resilience, maybe get all the keywords in.
increased what, food and what?
Nutrition security
Oh, I
and
like
climate resilience.
Okay, awesome, thanks. Anything else in there?
Do
You guys,
anything-
you guys want everything under the agricultural program? Do you want a grant writing program, a grant finance program? You want to just put it all under there? For now, change it next year, maybe?
I think that's fine. I think it's, I mean,
Oh, you got. Bare bones.
Yeah,
okay, so the strategies, practices, strong advocates for local farmers. The strategies, are you guys okay with?
Is that what we put together or
This is
No.
what they put together.
they?
So
or they-
I-
So
we want something for grant writing. We want something that's gonna say secure
Secure funding.
federal and state funding for, what kind of funding we want them to get to deal with what?
I think that we should have the department focus resource and assistant efforts on low to moderate sized agricultural operations with special considerations for minority owned agricultural operations.
that is key. Where
We
these
have
grants
that
are
in the
housed.
strategic plan, so you have that language that can be part of the strategies so that they have to focus on the smaller ag operations.
Yeah, where these grants are housed is very critical. They
Yeah.
need to be housed in a location or department or whatever that will allow for that. And definitely not in housing and human concern, because they do not, as really nice and professional as they are, they themselves said it's the wrong department for what small farmers are trying to do.
So
Yeah,
Gina,
they're talking about nonprofit.
if
Yeah.
you go to the strategic plan, the area that says departmental resource and assistance targets, there's a note in there, but then below that, it has that language that I just read, and then it defines the ag operation sizes. If we can put that in there, that would be great.
Let me-
My question is, where is this land going to come from for these farmers to be able to farm it? Where is that in the strategy, or, like, how can the county come up with, viable land outside of our ag parks, to help people be able to afford the land to farm on?
County owns a lot of land
Mhm.
already. They'd have to develop probably more as an ag park. What we were thinking is if we could pool resources for these small farmers, not just make it easier to get grants, but also pool storage, like cooperative style, access to storage, access to equipment. What else would they need access to?
Water,
Grant water? Well,
water is key.
yeah, we definitely need to, that's a separate one. We need to, and then let's make a strategic plan for addressing ag water.
Because it's kind of like your three ingredients before you can even walk for ag
Mm.
is land, water, and market. Without that three, you cannot begin.
Gina, actually, the only farmers that get ag water is Kula Ag Park. Everybody else, if you have an ag meter, you're still receiving treated water with chloramines in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Gina, do you want the grant writing and stuff to go in strategies or keep it under operations?
No, I think we need to set targets for that. So what I'm thinking of saying is secure federal and state funding for low to moderate, small scale ag operations that lack the ability to qualify for traditional grant funding and access to storage. What else did we say? Equipment. And water's gonna have to be separate. Land,
So that'd be like community, commune kind equipment?
Yeah, that cooperative, storage, you'd also need what, commercial kitchen? What do you call those kind of facilities?
Commercial kitchen.
So, I mean, they have a lot of this listed in the operations part. So that's where I'm confused. Do we want to do the departmental resource and assistant targets under strategies? And then separately in operations, maybe further define operations more?
Well, I wanted to put something up in strategy. Can you scroll down a little more to operations?
Because that's where they're talking about infrastructure, water, housing, medical needs for local farmers and ranchers, mitigation for access deer, soil regeneration, and incentivizing and utilization of agricultural lands, development of storage, processing and distribution, institutional purchasing channels. So they took a lot of the stuff from like what we said. This is a lot of the stuff that we said. But as far as like the strategies, they didn't put in like the low to moderate and like the minority groups.
Well, what do you want? You guys tell me. What do you want it to say?
So I would really like to see the resource and target language put under strategies.
Where's what is this resource and target language? Where is
It's
it?
in the strategic plan right after the qualifications. Oh, wait. No, this is in the proposed code highlights. Do you want me to copy and paste it in chat?
Can I keep chat? I mean, can you email it to me?
Yeah, I can email it to you.
That'd be great. My
Yeah,
printer says I
And
was-
we even defined those ag operation sizes based on USDA definitions too.
We had asked that there be like a clearinghouse to connect farmers with land and farmers with, or farmers with workers, that clearinghouse kind of business, something.
Yeah, like the database. Yeah. They have data collection and dissemination. Do we want to be more specific?
Like a wanted and for sale bulletin board, like a newsletter, a bulletin board.
Oh, that would
What's
be
available and what's needed.
Mhm.
Okay, so for our areas of need to make sure that they're covered, so infrastructure is in there, which includes water, land, labor, workforce, housing, equipment, processing and distribution, facilities and transportation. That's all in there, yeah.
What strategy do you want to add into those strategies there?
That was the language,
Just read it to me so I can write it down.
you want me to just copy and paste it for you?
Read it to what is it? You want the strategy? Do both. What do you want the strategy to say what?
Okay, the strategy, the department shall focus resource and assistance efforts on low to moderate sized agricultural operations with special considerations for minority owned agricultural operations. The department shall accommodate the public with cultural and language sensitive materials and programs. And then I have the defining ag operation sizes.
Send it to me. Awesome.
Okay.
I just want to make sure when I get something, I know where it's going.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, and then, so they've got infrastructure in there, markets and distribution. Do they have that in there? We could say developing or include advocacy and support for markets and distribution. That would be easy to add since it's not in there.
Advocacy support for markets and distribution.
Yeah. Secure federal, state, and private funding, develop special funds and revolving funds to go directly towards agriculture, local agriculture.
Are you emailing me that or what is that's?
Yeah, these are the areas of need. I can email you those.
That would be awesome. Thanks.
Okay, and then research and development. Do we want that in there?
Not for right now. I think for later, they'll be able to expand into that. That's got to be what they can do in the next 12 months.
Education, outreach, and advocacy.
That's already in there. So that the department's doing, so let's add that in there. Yeah.
Okay. Policy and regulation assistance. Agency coordination, workforce development, invasive species, pests and threats, resource regeneration and protection, contracts, procurement, transportation, agricultural theft, and vandalism and liability. These were the things. And I think that,
Operations, that's a lot of those. I'll go through and take a look at that.
yeah, I think we could just add the 13 areas of needs in there for sure. And then external factors. There are a number of external factors that will impact the Department of Agriculture's activities and operations. These include, but are not limited to, macro and microeconomic forces, inflation, rise in shipping, labor, materials cost, external agencies that maintain control over regulatory barriers, community sentiment, availability of land, water, and infrastructure, and other factors. I think that is, do you guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, we should put something in there about what's the percentage of farms that create food for Hawaii that are small scale.
I don't know that percentage off the top.
Hass has that data
Food,
for ag statistics.
at one
Steve.
point it was like 97%, but
Yeah, but the data is kind of old, yeah, usually several years, yeah.
yeah, it's a 2012. So I put in 90% when I wrote Shane's 3 minutes. Okay, darn, because I just wanted that they're being lobbied by the big guys and the state for because it says in here the department is for all sizes of agriculture.
Yeah, so that's why we want that target resource language in there.
Exactly, but I wanted to put external factors as the reality is that it's small farmers that feed Hawaii. I'll see if I can put something like that in there.
Okay. And then, so that's pretty much it for the narrative, yeah?
No,
Oh,
next,
down here.
well,
Okay,
that's that. So population served, that's where I can use your other language, services provided. I mean, this is really a repeat, but then we get to key activities and goals, and that's where they get measured. And that's where the new employees in these positions are going to take a look and see what they're going to get measured on next year. So if you keep going, it'll show what that is.
highlight that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, maybe repeating in the population served that the majority of assistance should be provided to those
Or creating food security.
low to mid-sized, yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna call them as ag operations that create food security, because that is the purpose of the. We're not here to support the multinational that are using Hawaii to make profits. They may provide jobs, but they don't feed Hawaii.
And then agricultural services provided, we can add in the areas of need here.
I'll use all that. This stuff is really the guts of it.
The key activity goals and measures.
Yeah, they talk about waste management. They don't talk about drought mitigation. And they don't talk about actually getting grant money themselves for the county to disperse. So I thought I would put that into there.
Mhm. I mean, our areas of need where we define those has a lot of this stuff in it, but it's not so all over the place.
Well, to go further is where you see it broken down.
Oh, these are the goals and,
This is then, yeah. So they're gonna want to have 5 grant workshops during the year. Are you guys, I mean, is that what you're thinking? Is that useful to have grant workshops for people, for farmers?
Yes and no. I mean, it has its purpose, but
They don't have the time to write the grants. We need people that will actually write the grants for them.
Yeah. People just
Hopefully the
wanna
grant will
know.
be simple enough that we can do it ourselves.
They already provide grant workshops at the county. So
So
our
what about-
farmers don't go to them. They don't have the time and they're in the middle of the day.
In there,
Yeah, exactly. In the middle of the day.
So we need,
acquire federal and state funding to disperse. To small to moderate.
so our community needs grant writer positions. So we had two, we had departmental, and they were responsible for securing outside funding to help cover the cost of the department and CIP projects that will serve the larger sectors of residents. In addition to securing federal funding, they will also be responsible for grant reporting on funding secured, overall achievements, and progress of the programs and projects. These two positions should be filled by professional grant writers who have ample experience securing large federal and state grants as well as private funding. These positions will need to help minimize the use of county tax dollars to fund infrastructure and departmental needs. Then for community needs grant writers, we have these two positions. We'll focus on writing blanket grants to help minimize the workloads of individuals working in the agricultural sector, as well as reporting on funding secured. In addition to writing and reporting for blanket grants, they will also be responsible for coordinating efforts to provide technical grant writing assistance to the community. That can be through direct services or via community partnerships. These positions will help funnel even more funding directly to our agricultural sector in need and will allow for better chances of securing larger federal, state, and private grants to address similar needs of stakeholders throughout the county. So we have that written out.
I know, but I need a goal. That's not a goal. It's like we need CIP infrastructure. You mentioned that. How much grant funding could we use and what kind of infrastructure are you imagining? Are you imagining better access to water? What are you thinking, like dual water ag line?
So instead of number of grant workshops conducted, change it to number of blanket grants written on behalf of the community.
Well, I'm gonna just leave that, but add a new one, blanket grants. What does that mean?
A blanket grant is where you write a large federal grant that will provide funding for multiple agricultural operations with similar needs.
Okay, say that again, large grants, well, yeah, to provide funding for what again? Agriculture.
Multiple stakeholders with similar needs.
Do you want those stakeholders to be small to medium?
Yeah. So it is low to moderate sized agricultural operations.
What's the dollar amount you think would be reasonable for them to target with two
So-
grant writers?
For 2 grant writers for blanket grants. I mean, I think it could be similar to what the departmental ones would be. So 3 million.
Oh, God, there's gotta be way more than that. There should be, what kind of grants can you get out of USDA? Anybody know? Anybody? I wish we had.
From like 100,000 floor to $1 million ceiling.
So if we say low, we just say 5 million maybe in blanket grants. And then what's the CIP infrastructure? I mean, there's the Biden infrastructure bill that was passed. I mean, what kind of money can come down through that?
So capital improvement projects can include food banks, food storage, emergency food storage, water infrastructure needs for agriculture, all that kind of stuff are CIP projects that are going to be larger.
There's a
Countywide.
big grant coming out for slaughterhouses and for food processing plants.
That's what we need, food processing plants. Thank you.
Amen.
Plants. And those are expensive.
Mhm.
5 to 6
Yeah,
million
baby.
to do a new slaughterhouse, I was recently told. So food banks, food storage, water infrastructure. What do you need for a food hub?
We need emergency food storage before we need food hubs.
Emergency food store, and that's what, if we have an emergency, that's where food gets stored?
Emergency food storage and centers, yeah. That's in the strategic plan as being year one priority.
Food banks, that's just to distribute food to,
Mhm.
water infrastructure improvements, slaughterhouse, food processing plants, community. What do you call a place where you can go do your value added products? Community kitchen, but what else? What is the name for that?
Cooperatives, like
They're like that.
Commercial kitchen.
Licensed
Commercial,
commercial kitchen.
certified commercial kitchen or something like that.
Certified. Okay, what if you're making soap? Stuff like that.
That's called a barn.
A barn.
You don't need a
Wouldn't
special
know.
facility to make soap.
You know what I mean? Like if you are a farmer.
processing and distribution facilities.
Processing, thank you. Processing. So it's not just food, but also value added. They love value added.
Mhm.
Value added product, production centers, facilities. Okay, got it. Okay, so, all right, I'll try to just throw some numbers on there. Oh, hold on.
Where'd it go? Sorry. The scroll on this is extremely sensitive. Okay, so
There we go.
that was the first one. And then goal 2. Wait, is that still goal 1?
Well, now we have identify ways to improve access to financial resources. Yeah, we can, I'll go for that.
Oh, that's continued.
Yeah,
Okay.
see, they have up to 3 million. Oh, no, now they're up to 5 million. Grant funding secured from state and federal sources. Yeah, which position is doing that? Amount of grants, the 3 million, okay, never mind. Regulatory burdens, yeah, they got that advocate doing all that kind of stuff.
I
That's-
like that.
That's where you want to put your streamlining.
No,
That's
this is, well, I guess, yes, yeah. So, yeah, the streamlining permitting process, how would we, that should be finished in year 1 though, yeah? Can we ask for that to be finished in year 1?
Yeah, I mean, or you can put percentage that it would be done. I mean,
Well, I think these are also talking about like legislative proposals, like, so the state regulatory board burdens and Department of Health, and then you've also got like federal regulations that are burdens, but then, so I think that's what these focus on.
Mhm.
And then maybe the number of county policies, administrative rules, permitting processes reviewed, and feedback provided. So instead of, we can take out the permitting process here, they can do the county policies, administrative rules reviewed and provided feedback on to promote efficiency, and then make it something separate to conclude the streamlined permitting process by the end of year 1. So yeah, streamlined permitting process for the agricultural sector developed.
agricultural sector, Department of Water Supply, Planning and Real Property Tax.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then we've got the protect agricultural activities by assisting in agricultural pest disease and feral ungulate mitigation.
So we're talking about deer management. Now that we need to talk about drought mitigation needs to go in there. What kind of, we wanted, how much funding could you think, is it possible to get grant funding for drought mitigation?
In year 1, probably not.
Percent, you could do percentage achieved, you don't.
Yeah.
How
Or
about- how
or
about
at least,
Submitted for, grants submitted for. And we just do it on what they submit.
Mhm.
Should have something on drought mitigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real critical.
Mhm.
I don't know what to put or how
Add
to,
drought mitigation in there and just increase the number.
Yeah.
Do we want to go, instead of just having a number target, do we want to put a number of grants in there instead? And then get a number of how many, we want to know how many grants are submitted. I'll add something on that.
Yeah, so maybe do 2 of those for that, how many, the amount of funds secured and how many applications submitted.
Yep, okay.
What is the funds used for? I mean, what type of drought mitigation, I guess they're gonna ask that.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys got to tell me what.
Because we've had drought mitigation from the state, and several times we've had different things, and basically they've not come through with anything. I remember one year, for example, they said, oh, we're gonna provide water tanks. So a lot of ranchers went out and put in, okay, how many water tanks? I think there are, I don't know, maybe 3,000 or 5,000 gallon water tanks or something like that. And the drought came, the drought went, the year went, the next year went, when nobody got no water tanks, nothing. So I guess my point is we might need to state what kind of drought mitigation.
Exactly, thanks. So I'll go look at the water use and development plan. 'cause
Yeah, so like,
of-
I would say like maybe, for example, in the case of water, storage or new lines, or they gotta improve the system at the inflow and
Irrigation.
maybe put drought
Right.
mitigation money to that. So everybody benefits, not just 1 or 2, 10 ranchers or 10 farmers or, combination.
Can we
Yeah.
do water diverted from lineage draining? So when they drain the water lines, they just
Oh, yeah,
flow it out onto the street.
yeah.
They
Can
should
we-
just have people come throw it in tanks or something like, I don't know.
Exactly. It should be drained into tanks so that it can be used for other purposes.
Use,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's good water. They're just flushing the
fine.
line to bring cleaner water in or whatever. I mean, we're all
It
drinking that water.
drives me insane. They
Yeah.
do it all the time and it's just good water just pouring out for hours onto the ground.
Yeah. They should meter that water and see how much they're throwing away. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's too bad we didn't catch that in the water use and development plan.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Okay.
catch them here.
What
Yeah,
else?
we can catch it here. So water diverted from line drainage to agricultural
that.
use.
Yeah,
That's
the
great.
line flushing. They don't
Mhm.
even need to flush the lines. Nobody uses
those-
that water. It goes to the standpipes. It's the fire hydrants. We don't use them.
Exactly.
Well, it's okay. We can get it out to tanks to people in rural areas so that they can actually utilize
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
There was also, William, remember Pupolo?
Who?
Called us all up, Pupolo. She wanted us to give her
Oh,
all the
Linda.
numbers for
Yeah.
the feed reimbursement feed. Never
Right.
happened.
No, zero.
There's
Gone.
another drought mitigation feed.
Feed and farmers always need, to be secure with water. And I think we extended, I don't know what the outcome was, but we requested instead of the 90-day drought, I guess the farmers got to cut back so much % to extend it to 120 days.
No, we're gonna put in, it's coming to you, to the ag working group to discuss.
Yeah, okay. I
at the-
remember working on that, but that's, some form of drought mitigation.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let's keep going. I got a lot of other work I gotta do right when we're done tonight, so maybe we
Good.
can,
The Farmers and ranchers get a grace period.
yeah,
Past residential,
Yeah,
but-
extended.
Uh-huh.
So Gina working on now.
yeah, that's gonna.
Ensure productive use of important and non-designated agricultural lands by collecting market and other data that is needed to make better informed decisions in the ag sector. So percentage of data collected needed to assess food supply. And then a percentage of resource assessment.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
Mhm. And then provide assistance in inspection services of agricultural activities for the Department of Finance. Do they have other ones? Department of
no.
Water Supply and
Supply.
Planning. Okay, so maybe this is where we put the stream and then develop let's provide assistance in the first year while developing the streamlined permitting process to take over those inspections in year 2.
Okay.
And then promote agricultural production in Maui County by providing businesses with support and assistance and collaboration amongst various entities. So number of collaborative meetings held. And then assist with developing and securing institutional purchasing and distribution channels. Number of new institutional purchasing and distribution channels formed or developed. I think that's good. Promote community involvement in the future of agriculture in Maui County. Keep community members involved and informed in the number of community meetings held.
Would that students be in there too, or is that just adults?
We can add.
Keeping community members involved and informed, is that
I don't think that,
visiting schools or making student meetings too? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe for that one, can we also monitor community satisfaction with the department? Number of community satisfaction surveys distributed by the department or something like that?
That would be kind of good. I mean, people tired of filling out surveys, but if it's like a report card.
I
you
think
know,
it's a
to-
great idea.
Yeah.
So for our reporting requirements that we had, that we're gonna do the legislation for, Gina, is some of the things that they could track. So in there, we've got reporting requirements for labor demographics, the agricultural lands and valuation, dedication and conservation, number of farms, size of farms, type of farms, crops grown, crop yield, value per acre, agricultural water use, number of ranches, number of livestock, value of crop, wholesale and retail, and then poundage of crops, donated, poundage of donated crops and goods. And then we also have data collection for amount of grants distributed, ag park demographics, number of commercial kitchens, number of processing and distribution facilities. Go ahead, sorry.
This is all in your data reporting thing that's on your website.
So we have the two things. We have the strategic plan, and then we also have the proposed code highlights. And that's what the reporting requirements and the areas of need is what Shane wants to work on after budget to put into code. So if we can pool some of those reporting requirements to put in here, then it makes sense. And then we've got number of processing and distribution facilities, number of ag-related infrastructural needs, volume of compost produced and waste diverted, invasive species tracking, outside funding, sources and amounts, number of agricultural related industries, current and emerging, and then for the reporting for education and outreach, that was resident satisfaction with the department, agricultural related legislative tracking and calls for testimony. I think they put that in there basically, and then the political action the department has taken on behalf of county. So they did put some of this in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll use that stuff when I write up this. So I'll
Okay.
write this stuff. Who wants me to email them a copy to take a look at before I submit it? Well, I'll send it to the whole ag working group. Anybody else that's not besides
I
Jen?
can share the Zoom email list that I send out to everybody, so you can BCC everybody if you want.
Or you can send them to Jen and she can send them to everybody.
Yeah, I can
whatever.
BCC. I can BCC everybody too.
Whichever, whatever works.
I said what you want to do with it when I send it out.
Okay.
Okay, good. I got what I needed. I don't know. You got what you needed, Jen?
I think that's it. Do you guys feel good about this going forward? She's gonna so the budget stuff we'll have by the 5th, right? And then for this narrative stuff, Gina, what is the date for that?
I'm not sure. That I need to get from OCS. I know
Can
I've
we-
got a little bit more time.
Okay,
Uh,
so can we find out the narrative date so that we can inform everybody of when that's gonna happen? And then you're also gonna get me the amount.
Well, no,
that
it's gonna be before the 5th, so I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna have to drop it in that morning.
Oh, it is gonna be before the 5th.
Well, no, it's gonna have to be on, when they discuss the department, it's gonna have to go then.
Okay, so
Unfortunately,
all
we-
on the 5th.
So, oh, they're gonna start Tuesday with the Department of Ag?
Yeah, that's the 5th.
Holy crap. There goes, okay, boy, that's gonna be really tough. I'm gonna have to send that to you. It's gonna be a short turnaround.
It's so short. It's really unfortunate that they put that first because it didn't give the community very much time to even review anything.
Yeah, it's all alphabetical and I'm. Saturday night, I'll probably finish it up. It's gonna go in Monday then. Oh, that's a bummer. Okay.
If you want, Gina, I can turn the Department of Ag sections from an Adobe into a Word document. And then we can upload it to Google Docs and work on it together. Me and Lauren can help you.
Oh, that would be awesome. Whatever you guys can do. I've got about 10 other things on my plate that's all due by
Yeah.
tomorrow, Friday.
Well, if we don't have to do this by Friday, like if it can be submitted on the 5th, that gives us a little bit more time
We
to
can
help.
put it on the 5th. I'm just saying for me and my schedule, I've got all that. That would be awesome. Yeah, can you guys do that and send me what you got? And then when I can turn around anything else I need to add in there, run it by Shane.
Okay, well, you took the notes on the like the goals and stuff, yeah?
So you want me to do goals?
Yeah, you do the goals and stuff because you did that, and then I can add in like the target language, the defining ag operations and
That'd be amazing.
areas of need and stuff.
That would be great. Okay, so I'll do goals, key, and then you'll do key activities and goals?
Yeah,
Or am I doing goals?
you're doing goals. I'm doing key activities and the, what was it? The
Activities.
strategy.
Are the same as goals. Countywide outcomes, that's me, right?
Key activities and goals is you. And then the narrative portion, we can probably do with our language if you want.
That would be awesome. Okay, great, thanks. If you get that to me Monday, that would be amazing.
And then
then-
services provided population. So we can do the narrative portion if you want to do the key goals and activities.
That would be great. And then I just have to have the final say, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think he's pretty agreeable to all the work that we've done. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
yeah, okay, great, good, okay. All right, thanks, guys. I gotta write up all my questions for the departments tonight, so I'm gonna get going.
Thank you,
Okay.
Gina.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Gina.
Huge help.
Thanks, Gina. Awesome
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
for your support.
Thank all you guys so much. All right,
You're
and
so
Jack,
good.
thank you so much.
There you go. Oh,
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna stay on, but
Okay.
Bye. Okay, so for our group, how are you guys feeling? Are we feeling secure with that? That was a lot in a very short time.
I think it was good.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think it was a good, you know, pretty much line item upgrade of the budget.
yeah,
And the position. So you know, I'm happy with it.
yeah, and to be honest, I wasn't super happy with the number figure that they put out, but as far as what they included in the narrative, they included a lot of stuff from the work that we did.
Right.
So it is making impact. They are listening. I think they're just being very like fiscally conservative when it comes to the department because they don't want to put a lot of money towards it. But I think when we propose more, I don't think they're going to have too much of a pushback from the administration.
It's a negotiating tool. You know, you ask for a lot, they cut you down, then you come back and you ask for more, and it, you know, you're negotiating. So
Yeah.
Hey, Jen, you think we can go over the math together? My Cooler School math comes out like 0.003.
Okay, let's
What a
do,
percentage of the ask compared to $1 billion? And
Okay.
we're asking for what, 1 million?
it'll be closer to 3 million once we're
I mean,
done.
3 million. Yeah, sorry about that.
So this is what I use because I also don't trust my math. But I will show you. Because I always do like, you know, times by 0.01 or whatever, but
Uh-huh.
so I use this. So blank is what percentage of blank? So 3
So 3 million.
million would be 6 zeros
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
of 1 billion, which is 9 zeros.
That's
Oh, it's
9
not.
zeros.
It's not letting me do it with the commas.
How about the top one? What is 3% of a billion?
What is 3% of a billion? $3 billion. Or no, 1, 2,
30
3,
million.
5, 6, 7, 30 million.
30.
30 million. Oh,
So
that's
we're not
3%.
asking, is that correct with the zeros though? We're not asking for 30 million though, right?
No, we're asking for 3 million.
Right. Check your zeros in the billion, whatever the hell that is. I like this math.
Yeah.
If we could put the,
Fill in the blank.
2, 3.
I
1,
love it.
2, 3. 1, 2. Wait. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 9. Oh, it's 30%. 0.3. Oh, it's 0.3%.
0.3%. So that's even less than, well, shit, way less than 3%.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, my math was wrong.
3/10
all
of a
right.
percent. Right,
0.3%, right?
right. Which is
That's
nothing,
chicken feed.
right?
It is, it's not very much, but I mean.
Yeah, so they shouldn't knock it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a good convincing point. And
Exactly.
that's very little to ask in percentage for department, you know?
And then there were some other things. So for our talking point testimony, I also wanted to bring up the fact that we spent $80 million on a parking garage. $80 million of taxpayer money on a parking garage.
Wow. Where
Okay,
was
that's
that at?
the parking garage that they're building in Wailuku.
Is that the
What
old
spot?
post office?
The old post office. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, that, you know, the one like behind the bank by the promenade, that parking lot that was there, they turned it into a parking garage. That was an $80 million parking garage.
Wow.
But isn't that supposed to have some, it's some kind of office, space in it too on the ground floor? I remember looking at that project years ago.
It's a
when-
parking garage.
A frigging parking garage.
Yeah, it's an $80 million parking garage.
Oh, is that the one between Market and Church?
Oh, okay.
Behind Ikeda's.
Yeah.
So
Hey, kiddo.
the county
Nobody
spent
here know
$80 million
Ikeda's
on a
really-
parking garage. We're asking for $3 million for food security.
Hey, that's where I bought my uniforms.
Yeah.
Also, there is, let me stop share. I have this other thing that I pulled up. Is it this one? Sorry, there we go. This was another thing I wanted to show you guys. So this was the, you know, what they're saying for the department, the 1.371299292, or sorry, I can't talk. 1.3 million, basically, almost 1.4. But then if you look in the budget for 2020, this was the adopted budget. The county for grant subsidies for access to your mitigation funding, they gave 1.5 million just for that. So this is something that the department is supposed to be working on, and they gave 1.5 million in 2020 for that. but we're giving 1.3 for the entire department now, a few years
Yeah.
later, when cost of everything has gone up.
And the access tier is not any, it's bigger than it was last year.
Exactly.
Yeah, they need actually like $10 million or more. I mean, the way the study is, all they found out is how many deer we got. There's no plan
Mhm.
as to how to get rid of it and what is the actual dollar. They're afraid to say it. And then the state blames the county and the county blames the state. And so there's this finger pointing and we're stuck with the deer as at an abundance.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of federal funds out there and the money's there and he's giving it to us in little tiny bits and pieces.
Mhm.
It's like we have a broken leg and he's passing out Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
Done.
Jake Muse's study is the same area that the DLNR Forestry Wildlife Division studies every year. They do a survey of Maui, Lanai, and Molokai. They've never looked at Kipuhulu, Hana, Haiku, or Kaupo, Kaikinui.
Lahaina.
Why aren't they looking? Yeah, and Lahaina. Why aren't they looking
Lahaina
at
and
the other
Waikapu
areas?
is loaded. Yeah.
But
Waikapu,
they
Malaya
don't.
is pounded. I mean, if you look at the West Maui Mountain along the Waikapu Road, I mean, it's devastating. It's dirt.
Yeah, it's getting
all
worse
up.
because nobody really is hunting it like
No.
full on.
Okay.
sorry, guys. So I think, going through and finding those things that we can compare what they have allocated funding to that was not nearly as important in the past to justify the increased ask is going to be really important to provide in your testimony, because a lot of these council members, they need to have that comparison, especially when we're thinking about food security. So we're 80 million for a parking garage, but now that we're asking for 3 million for the department, it's too much. Bringing that back to the train of thought, like, okay, so 1.5 million for just access to your mitigation funding in 2020 was okay. But this year, 3 million for the entire department, which is going to handle that, is not going to be okay. So these kinds of things is what we're really going to have to push in our testimony. And when we talk to other people, to get them to testify too, so that it shows you guys need to increase the funding to even make it seem like you're taking it somewhat seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Jen, will you put this information, like these suggestions and these comparisons, in a talking point? So when we can send it out to other people that that are standing by waiting to testify, they can also have this information at their fingers.
yeah, I'll put, what do you think? Maybe like 3 is sufficient?
Yeah, 3 is good.
Okay.
Even a link to the county budget, so you can kind of go look and hunt your own information down.
Oh, I put a link to the county budget in the last email.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it should be at the bottom. It's just so long, so most people just don't go through it.
Yeah. No, but if there's like a slide of a pie, like a percentage thing, whatever, that you can just look at one spot and kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But looking through the whole budget, how many pages is it? Must be a couple hundred, maybe more.
It's 968.
Ugh.
Jennifer, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does the cooperative extension still going to get money to do research?
Let's see. Central
Should
Ag.
be, it'll be in
Just
the
curious.
budget.
They used to get around 100,000. Used to.
Okay, so this is what I do. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah,
We see the county.
Okay.
I see all important people.
Yeah.
All right. So when I click on this, I go to the budget and I hit Central or Control F, and you'll see a search bar that pops up in the top. So you can put University of Hawaii, and then it would be the
Maui College.
Tropical Ag Extension.
CTAR.
Oh,
CH.
Yeah, because they don't give
CAR
the
or CTAHR. Yeah.
CTAHR, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's.
it's not popping up. So let me try
So they're not
UH.
getting, they're not getting
Echo,
funded.
yeah.
Well, they've been trying to cut their budget a lot and saying that that's the state should be funding that.
Just put CTAR, just put CTAR, no need University of Hawaii.
See what happens.
CTAHR. Nothing.
They may not have a budget.
Oh, wait, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, it took a minute. So
Oh,
let's
I'd
see what
like
it says.
those
This
are-
is
This is all of
under,
A.
You just have
uh,
the,
this
yeah,
is
the-
OED,
yeah, the bottom.
and they're proposing 150,000.
Okay,
Well, it's kind of interesting,
so
what other things they got there.
So it went up 50,000 in like, what, 2 years?
you,
3
you
years?
see, you notice the mentoring program, the Farmers Union, they're spending $270,000 to train organic farmers. And where can they farm?
My point exactly.
I mean, so why not make the new ag park for the organic?
Yeah, they
You're
have it
spending
there.
all this
Doing
money.
nothing. Yeah.
It's just collecting old cars, appliances, and
The bottom line is I gotta be careful what I say. I'm gonna
You're
say
being
it anyway.
recorded, careful.
Yeah, you're being recorded.
Yeah, I guess so.
Jennifer, can you scroll up a little
I'm
bit
gonna
to the deer.
scratch that thought.
Scroll up to where?
No, sorry, no.
Scroll
Okay.
down.
Yeah, sorry. There, feral deer, feral animal recovery, $1
1
million next year.
Oh, and there
Yippee.
is the
just-
micro grants program is 1.5 million this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's not thought through, like, what are you gonna do it? It's just been thrown into the wind, most of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I search things in the budget, because if you're trying to
Cool.
scroll, it's really hard, but if you do the control F, so hold
Uh-huh.
control down and then hit F, that search bar will pop up. And that
Oh.
usually is for any PDF. So it's really helpful when you're searching documents like county documents
this
to
is a
do-
big
to do the control F.
one. Oh, jeez. Well, it's the biggest budget in history.
It is.
$1 billion is not chicken feed, man.
That's a lot of money.
That means your property tax is gonna pay for this, so
Yeah, but the
up it
worst,
goes.
the worrisome part is Keani as the budget, instead of like Ricky Hokama always budgeted less than the mayor's. Keani has always budgeted more than the mayor's budget. That's
Yeah.
the scary part.
I wanted to go to the very beginning because it has a breakdown of the different departmental and
That would be good, like copy that page or something.
It'd be
Let's see.
interesting to know what we've spent on outside counsel to fight the injection well mess over in Lahaina over the last 8 years.
I think it was around like 3 to 5 million maybe.
That would be a good comparison.
I think it's probably more than 3 to 5 million.
It's
But
well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
I
the
think that was
exact
the
number.
last.
Didn't they budget $1 million for Ag Park on Lanai? Is that what I saw?
I saw 450 for the Kula Ag Park.
No, but I'm talking about Lanai. I think it was $1 million. See, they have an old Castle and Cook Ag Park. The state many years ago proposed 100-acre parcel, but they never installed the park. There were no takers.
I think there was 2 different parcels that were being offered for an ag park on Lanai, and Gabe would know about that.
You see, one of the problems with the old Castle and Cook ag park, well, it wasn't fully farmed, but it was in the flight path of the airport, and the airport people complained that the ag park was interfering with the flights for some reason, birds or whatever.
Hmm.
So
It
I
could
this-
be the other way around.
This
I'm
was
just
the figure
curious.
that I was trying to show you guys.
I'm just curious where the ag park is.
I'll look that one up next for the Lanai Ag Park. So this is page 66 of the budget.
Holy moly.
So this is expenditures by department. So the first column is salaries and wages. And then you've got operations, and these are in the thousands.
Hmm.
Okay, so this number is the thousands. So like the 311.3 is 300,000. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so then you've got the operations cost. So that's going to be like your programs and services and any machinery or equipment, travel costs, that's in the operations column. So you can see how much the different departments are getting, basically.
The
Interesting.
core counsel, does this include any outside legal
No.
counsel?
No,
Why does the county council need so much for operations?
the county
Well-
council has basically each council member has a budget, and then they have a budget for staff for each council member, and then you have
Oh, staff.
Office of Council Services as well that falls under county council. So the whole OCS sector is under county council.
Wow.
That's the whole thing right there. That many, that different departments.
Yeah,
Roughly, yeah.
Hmm.
Whew. Boy, we are paying a lot for police.
Yeah, baby.
Public works. Why so much for public work? Oh, unless they did do maintenance.
Roads,
stuff.
roads, yeah,
Yeah, I
You-
got it.
yeah.
yeah. So,
The environmental management is spending more than the water department.
well, environmental management, that's waste, yeah. So,
Sewage and stuff.
mhm. I'm not a fan of their purchasing practices. I'll just say that.
The new landfill is filling up really fast.
Mhm. Yeah. So this is an interesting thing to show people if they ask about the budget and departments and things, and it's a good way to really give people a perspective on how much they're allocating to agriculture, because there are still some people that are think, oh, that's too much money, you know, because they think 1.3 million, but when you're talking about like county services, it's really not that much money. It's very, very, very little.
Whoa.
Exactly why we don't have food security.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, lots on Parks and Rec.
yes,
Oh,
lots
yeah.
Parks and Rec.
That we weren't allowed to visit.
I really
What do you mean?
wish that the county would do educational things like this to teach people about the budget process, the legislative process. That's how you get people engaged and to understand actually what's going on. And I don't know why that is not happening. It makes me really sad, to be honest, because like the only reason I learned this is because I went and worked at the county, right?
Mhm.
But the average person is not going to do that.
No.
Otherwise, I would have no idea about any of this. And so like
Mhm.
part of this for me is like being able to share this information with everyday people so that they can learn how to do this and advocate for themselves. But I think this should be done by the county, you know, like on a
Should-
large
should-
scale.
Should also be done in the school system somewhere.
Absolutely. Oh, I would love to
Yeah.
have that part of like our DOE curriculum in like high school. It would be so
Yeah.
important.
All 4 years of high school.
Yeah.
Some kind of,
Sorry, you guys, I missed the chat. Did I miss everybody?
I don't know.
Oh, Lauren, the meeting on April 5th is at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Jen.
I'm sorry, I missed these ones about the umbrella. So umbrella blanket grant is
Blanket,
just,
I used the wrong noun, sorry.
I think it's the same idea with just two different terms. Okay, and then you wanted to look up Lanai Ag Park.
Didn't they save any money this year because they didn't have to use electricity because they were out of the office?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of savings, even the schools. I mean, how much printing
I,
paper
yeah,
and ink I'm using at home?
it must have saved money
Lots of money.
because I heard a lot of the staff weren't showing up for work at the mayor's office.
Yeah, they did send people home with supplies. And they did cover some people's internet. I don't know about phones, like, I don't know how much they covered for people, to be honest.
Uh.
And the offices, like, people still were going into the offices. So I know, like, for OCS, they still did have to go into the office. So I guess it depends on like who it was, what their job description was, how often they had to go in or didn't have to go in. But yeah, it's interesting that there wasn't a cost savings
Yeah.
in any of that.
So nothing on Lanai Ag Park?
I don't
Come
see
up?
anything about Lanai Agricultural Park.
What I saw in the paper was $1 million at $450 for the cooler.
Was that a budget amendment to the current budget?
No, I think it's part of the new budget.
For some reason, I feel like that was a budget amendment.
Oh, maybe if you can.
Because it happened a few months ago, yeah?
It just was announced in the paper. Because I wrote it down.
There's,
I remember seeing something about it, but I don't recall the exact amount.
Well,
when I
wrote
put
it-
in Lanai Agriculture, it's only coming up with the Molokai and Lanai Agricultural Production with nothing for this year. And if I say agricultural,
where do you find the $450 for the cooler ag park then?
the Kula Ag Park is here. It is right here.
Right there.
Well, why aren't they describing the Lanai?
You know,
They got
Kenneth,
taken out.
I sent that to Joanne and Patrick and said, what is this here? Because we haven't heard anything about it, you know, at the Kula Egg Park meetings. And nobody got back to me on that.
They don't know either.
No, I don't think anybody, I think it was a surprise to them.
Well, I wrote it down because I was like, Lanai is making a, so are they moving the old ag park? Because I've been there.
I don't know, you'd have to ask Gabe what's happening with all that.
Oh,
So here's Lanai Ag Park lease. That looks like May of 2021.
there wasn't a lot of farmers there.
You said nobody applied, Kenneth? Was no interest or something?
Well, when the state proposes, this is years ago. I think
Right there.
they may still have had the pineapple. So
PPT 28.
it wasn't interesting.
Yeah. So I think this was probably a budget amendment for the current budget, you know.
Yeah, if you don't see it where we were looking at, yeah.
Yeah.
probably.
When you say budget amendment, you mean it was taken out of the budget?
No, I mean, okay, so
If it's
each
not
year you
there.
have a budget process that happens from at the end of March is when the mayor presents his proposed budget. And then from March till about June is when the council works on that budget to finalize it. It has to be completely finalized by June. I think actually the date is in May but then they have like this grace period to get it published or whatever. But then throughout the year, both the administration can come through and the council can come through to make budget amendments. So they can come through and amend to add in positions. So like when we're talking about those unfunded positions, right?
Yeah.
So basically they're going to take maybe 6 months to create the position, or 8 months, or whatever they take to create the position with the unions. And in the budget, it says $0 for these positions. But once they create it with the unions and they find out exactly how much it's going to cost, they will go to council and say, we need a budget amendment for this position at this much. And the council will vote to approve the budget amendment, and then it will be upgraded. So the budget is not a finalized document. It changes all throughout the year through budget amendments. So when we talk about budget amendments, that's what it happens. It's not during the actual each year budget process. It's what happens throughout the year as they amend the budget. So yeah. So your budgets are usually larger than what you actually see presented in the proposals,
Correct.
because there's budget amendments all throughout the year.
Wasn't there a situation where if the council couldn't complete their work, then the mayor's budget is approved or passed?
Yeah, it's approved by default. Mhm.
So they gotta do their.
Yeah, there
work.
are very specific deadlines that they have to meet, and posting for specific things. There's a whole set. That's why they have those calendars for budgets. And that is, it's laid out too, I believe, in the charter, the deadlines. Okay. So, sorry, Barbara, apologies, missed your email.
This is about the article. Let me make sure I can. About the article I was mentioning. In regards to the funding that nobody was quite sure how to answer.
Oh, for the Lanai Ag Park?
I'd have to open it up and read to see if Lanai is in there. But it was. There's a link there for that article. So I just wanted to go back and pull that email and post it. So.
Okay, yeah, so this is like in September. So anything that happened like earlier this year is going to be amending the current budget, not in this new budget. So I think that, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just gonna read it real quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
Maui News said 1 million Lanai Egg Park.
And that could be the case. So what you would do if you wanted to look that up, you would go to MauiCountyLegistar.com. And you could search this year or all years is what I would do, and search Lanai Agriculture Park. Okay.
Mhm.
So those, then you would have to go through and look at the agendas. So let's see. Lanai Planning Commission. That's it. Yeah, this is where it gets tricky. So sometimes it'll pull up things that don't actually have it in there, and you have to go through. So this was a lot of what I did with the county, is just going through agendas, which is super. I am gonna go back to maybe September. Let's see if there's something in here. These are okay. So I'll just explain this to you too, you guys. So county communications, those are all the things that are going to be referred, right? So those come from either the mayor, the departments, or from council members. So there are things that they want to have discussed, and that That's the county communication. Once the county communication is put on an agenda, then they assign it to the committees for the council members. And then the council members will discuss the county communications. They'll become items. What happens is when a county communication is assigned to a committee, there is no law that they have to ever schedule it. The scheduling is at their discretion. So county communications can actually go to committees to die, or they can be scheduled. Once they're scheduled, they'll become an agenda item on the specific committee. If something passes out of a committee, like for example, our Bill 54 that passed out of APT, then it will come back to the council as a committee report. And that's a bill of first reading. Okay, so on Friday, this Friday, our Bill 54 will be first reading. And then they'll vote to approve it or change it or whatever. And then it goes back to council the following week for second reading. And if it approves at second reading, that's when it's finalized and it becomes law. Does that
No.
make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not
Thank you.
seeing anything for Lanai. Yeah, so it was committee reports, and then these ones are the second readings. So first reading committee report, and then these ones are the past first reading, then they are listed as bills. And they'll be voted on once more.
So on the second reading, is it possible that people will be able to testify for the second reading as well?
Yeah, you can testify for both. Oh, there's things that have passed out of committee. They pass, and then they pass out a first reading, they pass, and then second reading comes around and they die. They don't make it. And it doesn't matter that they've already passed 2 votes, they'll kill it. And it's done. That's all you get. So actually, for example, the $80 million parking garage, we were able to kill it or able to defund it at committee. We defunded it at first reading, and then they refunded it at second reading.
Ugh.
Yeah,
So
that happens. That's
So
real
there-
common.
it is real common. So you have to be there
You
at the
gotta write them all
committee.
the way.
You have to go at each reading. And a lot of people think, oh no, I already testified for that. No, there's 3 opportunities for them to
Mhm.
kill or reinstate bills or funding. So it's important to follow all the way through to the second reading.
To the third one.
Yeah, sorry, second reading at council, but third meeting total. Yeah.
All the way, you gotta go all the way. And you gotta get as many people as possible.
Yeah, so we will have testimony on the first reading. And then we'll have to rally testimony again for the second reading for Bill 54. I have nothing to do with the process, just helping navigate it. I don't agree with the process either.
I mean, it's kind of a good process because you can kind of like talk your way through, and discuss things 3 times, but you kind of want to do things in a positive way and not just, to kill stuff. And
Yeah, I think if
It gets
something's
brutal.
killed, I think
Yeah.
if something happens dramatic, like a dramatic change at the second reading, I think that there
Yeah.
should be a way to kind of appeal for the community to appeal that, but there really
Yeah.
isn't.
yeah, they do the same thing at the state and the Senate and the House at the state level too. So it is critical to follow it all the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know which one it's in specifically. Kenneth, are you just okay with knowing that it was approved, amended during this budget? Or do you
All
want
I
to?
know is I saw it in the newspaper
Okay, okay.
and I wrote it down. So I was like, really? $1 million?
Yeah. So, okay, so I'll go through and make the changes for the budget. I'll get that sent out. And then is everybody able to testify or going to send in testimony for the first for Bill 54?
Yeah, so to get to the site to testify on, we go to this county website and then get the, or you gonna send out the link?
I sent out the link.
You did
It's
already,
in the
okay.
action alert. If you click on that PDF in the last email, that
Okay.
has all the information for Friday's meeting.
Okay,
So if you want to share that PDF with people, that makes it real easy for them to have the link, all the information,
Yeah.
the talking points for Friday's meeting.
okay.
And then
And-
we will do another action alert for April 5th meeting for the budget.
When does the testimony need to get there? If it's already on Friday?
24 hours.
So if it's
It has to be
emailed
there-
testimony the night before, if it is in-person testimony just during the meeting, you have to be there at the very beginning of the meeting. So you'll have to log on at 9 AM.
Yeah, but I think William is correct that it needs to be there 24 hours. So that would be like tomorrow morning, by tomorrow morning at 9. Because today's Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they will upload stuff throughout the day. They're just asking for it to be in 24 hours in advance, but OCS usually uploads the testimony that they receive throughout Thursday.
yeah,
evening.
well, yeah, sometimes we've also sent testimony direct to the different council members. And it goes to their whatever, and then some of them, like for example, Alice Lee, I forget what we were doing, and a lot of people wrote to her directly. So, you know, she'll say on the floor, my constituents, blah, 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 you know what I mean? So
Yeah, so
and
it
good
is
for backup.
it is good to CC all the council members when you email the county clerks.
Yeah,
Then that way they all individually get it too, so you know that well, if they read them.
if
But
yeah, and
yeah.
then if they care and want to push for something, then they'll be, you know, it's a plus. If they don't care, then they don't care.
Yeah. I think we have a really good chance of this passing. Josiah said that they were pretty okay with it passing, and I think the
Mm.
council members were they seemed pretty okay with it. So hopefully it passes. Hopefully we can get testimony. But yeah, if we can rally people to testify on Friday, that would be really good.
Mhm.
And then we'll do the action alert by this Friday for the budget one
Great.
on Tuesday, if that's okay.
So you need testimony on Tuesday as well.
Yeah, we'll need testimony on the 1st for Bill 54 for the director and deputy director qualifications. So that's April 1st, this Friday for that bill. And then April 5th is Tuesday's deliberations for the Department of Ag budget. And we'll need testimony for that.
And then testimony again the following Friday for the second reading.
I am not sure if it will be, I'll get the date for the second reading.
Okay.
Yeah. Because with budget, sometimes those council meetings move around a little bit.
Right. Sounds good, Jen. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We did a lot tonight.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen, and everyone for working hard on this. It was a long haul, but I think it was worth it.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Definitely.
Thank you,
Most-
Jennifer.
Thank you guys. I mean, you guys are here every time I am. So it's all of us.
Hey, Jennifer, give Penelope my love when you see her again.
I will.
I haven't seen her in a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Years.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off, folks. Thank you.
Oh, come on, stay and play.
Good night.
I still gotta feed animals. It's dark here. I need the flashlight.
Yeah, I gotta go lock up my chickens.
Take the
Okay,
gun.
guys, have a wonderful evening.
Bye.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Aloha,
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night.